I want to go to one of those holiday shoppers. Aaron Quackenbush Baker, you were in the mall during the shooting with your three precious children who are 10 months old, 3 years old, and 5 years old. Now, describe what happened. I understand your daughter put her hands over her ears and started screaming when this rampage began. First of all, thank you for joining us, and I'm so happy that you're safe and sound as well as your family. What did you see? What did you hear?
I heard the gunshot initially, and I knew exactly what it was. My grandmother was also with us. I don't recommend having a 77-year-old and small children with you in a crisis situation. They don't move very fast. The first instinct was for me to run, and unfortunately, that wasn't an option because I didn't know which way to run because it was happening right in front of me, and I was behind a kiosk. We were looking at some Christmas ornaments, thankfully, because moments prior, I was in the center of the mall, right where the gunman was, and we had just stepped behind this kiosk, and everyone fell to the ground, and I lost sight of my 3-year-old, and I was desperate to find him, and I was yelling, where's Noah? And apparently my grandmother had light on top of him, and I turned and my daughter was still screaming, and I pulled her to the ground as fast as I could. And as I was pulling her to the ground, a gentleman behind me was screaming a woman's name, and I could see in his eyes this fear. And all I kept thinking was that he's watching her be shot. And the whole time there are fires and gunshots being, going off, and it wasn't a rapid fire. It was a methodical fire. It was, to me, it sounded intentional. It sounded successful, and I thought for sure that we were not going to survive this. My 10-month-old was in a stroller, and it was just out of reach, and I stood up to try and grab him, and I couldn't get him out of the stroller fast enough, so I just tipped the entire stroller over and drug it to the side of the kiosk, and just hoped that this man was not going to come around and see me lying there. We were sitting ducks. There was no other way to describe it other than we were in like a shooting gallery, and we were next. It sounded as if, with not being able to see him because I had my head down, that it was so intentional that his shots were successful. So that's all I can imagine.
Well, what a compelling and chilling, I have goosebumps, chilling description of what you endured. And to have 3 kids that you're worried about sitting there, not able to grab one, not knowing if they're dead or alive, I can't even imagine it. The horror. And why would somebody inflict horror on a stranger? You don't know this man. He didn't know you. He didn't know your family. He didn't apparently know anybody who he traumatized and killed 2 and injured a 3rd. Why?